fence here. This thing is going to shoot out superheated fuel thrust to lift 4 million pounds.
Would
that
you
fence,
melt it?
that front, that should be, if you look at what a tornado, a room temperature tornado at 300 miles an hour would tie that thing into knots. It turns trees into splinters, right? It would just destroy everything. This thrust is going to lift 4 million pounds, and this fence isn't even going to fucking wiggle. Okay? This is nonsense. This is a fucking balloon, right? It goes up, it goes out into the ocean, into restricted space, the Bermuda Triangle, and where there's military out there keeping the space clear, and then it just crashes into the ocean. That's
I would figure that fence would
Well, but
melt.
it comes back to Earth, so how does it?
And it doesn't.
Yeah.
And look at all the thrust.
it probably would melt.
This smoke is
It would
all
melt.
coming
Look
out
at
of the
that.
ground. This is all. Now this is launching something.
Yeah, it's a fucking metal fence next to the fucking exhaust.
Yeah, absolute insanity, right? And then when you watch this thing go down range, when it separates from the solid rocket boosters, you hear the separation and see it at the same time. It's 30 miles down range. Well, if it was 20 miles down range, that sound would come 90 seconds later after the actual thing that you see, like thunder and lightning. But we hear it at the same time, right? So in a second, you're going to see the separation, and if you could hear the sound,
We don't hear sound now.
it goes psh, just at the second that it comes apart, right? So this thing is going over 17,000 miles an hour right now. These things are going to come off, and they're going to travel sideways at 17,000 miles an hour.
Right.
They're still in the atmosphere because you can see. And look, these things are keeping up at 17,000 miles an hour. They should shoot forward because they're still on. This is CGI bullshit, okay? This is nonsense. And if you look at it on the launch pad, there was a little breeze. This thing's 4 million pounds. It's bouncing around it's moving around like a fucking bouncy house, okay? It's a bouncy house because it's filled with helium.
Sally Ride.
Sally Ride.
Who died in the crash.
You mean Krista
Kristen
McCullough.
McAuliffe, yeah.
Krista McCullough. Well, it happens to be that we found
They're all alive.
six of the seven have identical twins with the same name, same birthday, everything. That say
And cushy jobs, Dave.
Yeah, and they all have
cushy
cushy jobs at universities, and they none of them showed up at their siblings' funerals. Okay, none of them showed up at their siblings' funeral. Your twin didn't show up at your funeral. Bullshit.
Yeah, I've
Bullshit.
seen that too. I've seen that. Yep.
Bullshit. And you remind me of Joe Rogan, right? The guy that used to be the friggin' poster boy where there's no way we went to the moon. Then he had Neil deGrasse Tyson on, took a little vacation, came back, had huge contracts, huge shows. Joe Rogan investigates everything, all this stuff. And all of a sudden he's like, oh, there's no way we faked it. There's no way we faked it. He's wearing a fucking NASA suit. This guy said, I would lie to my mother, right? If you want to give me some of that CIA, NASA money, and bam, he got it. He's lying to his mother. He's lying to you. He's lying to everybody. Joe Rogan is a traitor to humanity.
Greg's going to fill that application out.
Kind of money.
Greg's going to fill that application out, Dave.
I'd lie to my mother. My mother's dead.
But by the way, you only get $5 because you said you'd sell yourself for $5.
$5 I got.
You're done, bro. You're done.
Right. Going back to what I was showing you a moment ago, when you look at the space shuttle, when it drops that external tank, this thing weighs 40,000 pounds empty, they tell us. Now, this thing is falling down to Earth. First problem, does this look like it's falling? It's being filmed by the guys that are on their way into orbit. Somehow they're filming it as they're rocketing out. This thing is falling at 1,000 miles an hour. It's going to burn up before it gets to the clouds. Now, watch carefully here. You see that piece of paper that went by? That shows you that this thing is just floating in the sky. Another piece of paper is going to fly by here in about 10 seconds.
Wait,
okay?
piece of paper.
Yeah, so... so watch. A little piece of paper is going to go by.
No, but what I want to know is how do they guide that? How do you know
this is not. This is a fucking Macy's Day Parade balloon floating in the sky. Okay,
that could hit a fucking. How do you guide that?
They're not. They're just filming it. Then they capture it. We actually have a video that shows a hidden, like I don't want to say cloak because you're like, oh, Star Wars, right? The recovery vehicle that grabs this thing out of the air. We actually have a video with that, right?
They have to grab it.
Yeah. This thing is going to burn up before it gets to the clouds. Look at this fucking PVC pipe going down the side of it, right? So if you look at, the SR-71, which is the modern, our spy plane, that thing is like a razor blade. It doesn't have any paint on it. because it gets too hot and the paint would burn off. Like they say the outer skin at Mach 2.3 or 3.2, which is like 2,100 miles an hour, it gets too hot. It gets up to over 500 degrees, right? But somehow the space shuttle, when it's going into orbit, goes Mach 25.
Yeah, it still has the American flag.
It still has the American flag on it, and it's not
symbol.
It's not aerodynamic at all, right? This thing at 2,193 miles per hour is as fast as it can go. This thing can go 10 times faster. 10 times faster. This fucking hunk of junk. You have to be brain dead. And this is what they do. They fluoridate you. They axonate you. They give you poisons. They feed you garbage. They brainwash you in school so you defend your little blue ball. And then
TV's the worst, David.
And you never, the television programming. They're controlling your mind. And people say, well, how all these people protecting the lie? Look at you. You're protecting the lie because you've been programmed to protect the lie. Programmed.
Absolutely.
Okay?
David, is everything coming to a head right now?
It certainly is.
The total